everyone, and welcome back to the Content Mix. I'm Carlota Pico, your host for today's show, and I'm excited to introduce Jérôme Logie, who is EMEA Marketing Manager at Pall Water and has over 8 years of experience in marketing and communications. Welcome, Jérôme, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Content Mix.
Yes, hello Carlota, and hello all. Very pleased to be part of this interview today. So thank you for that, Carlota.
Well, thank you for joining us. Okay, Jérôme, so tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the water industry?
Well, I would say that it was not really by accident, but more by passion. So I fell into water treatment. I fell into water treatment 20 years ago, actually, starting with application engineer job and just evolving from there.
Okay, excellent. And what's it been like so far working for a water treatment company? Because it's quite a particular industry, right?
Well, particular, I don't know whether this is the best word to describe that. Complicated, for sure. But actually, it's how can I say? It's exciting to take one single word, meaning that well, there's always something new to learn, something new to educate people about, and to sell to people also by the end.
Right. From a marketing point of view, what makes the industry so complicated?
Well, I would say that in most of the markets, actually, you do have kind of maturity. When I'm saying that, it means that people are used to use the good old ways to deal with water treatment, and so it's actually challenging to bring innovation also within this market space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I can see how that can be a challenge. So what is Paul Water doing in order to innovate in the space?
So first of all, Pall Water is known for, let's say, water filtration for a lot of decades. I would say at least 20 years as a standalone company. Um, that being said, we do have in-house R&D. First of all, and in terms of marketing, well, obviously there is a path forward to bring those new products onto the market. So going first with return on experience, and obviously bringing this new value proposition to our end users or customers.
Okay, I want to take a step back and look at your career as a whole. Could you walk me through some of the most memorable marketing experiences that have shaped you as a professional?
Um, yeah, well, I would say that I started my career as a technical person, then moved to a sales role, and I've been given actually the opportunity to work into marketing, given also this technical background. So meaning that um, having this technical varnish has been definitely key to progress towards marketing, and that helped me a lot also to make the bridge between actually R&D and sales, which is the central role of a marketing person within the water treatment. I would say that the key step has been the need for the redefinition of a strategy for profitable growth within the company I was part of at that time. So mixing the experience from the R&D people and the reality of sales has been the challenge which has been given to me, and actually that's how I step in marketing by default, I would say, and the rest was through also education, and I have been actually lucky since the company or the group I was part of at that time was having an excellent how can I say learning cycle, or let's say internal university, to go through the different steps of becoming a marketer.
Okay, so you started off in sales, and just for our audience, FYI, who were your customers when you started off in that sales position? Or who was the customer, the natural customer of a wastewater treatment company?
Well, actually, we're both in water and wastewater, but for the company I was working for, well, this is basically all the scope of of industries, meaning from dairies to nuclear power plants, because we were delivering solutions which were applicable to all kind of industries in terms of filtration, in terms of clarification, and at that time in my former company, say everything relating to water treatment chemicals. So it's a B2B environment, definitely. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, very interesting. So then moving into your role as a marketing manager now, could you talk to me a little bit about how you attract an audience to your social channels, although you're a B2B water treatment company? How does that work?
Well, content is the key. I would say that you can have an account-based marketing, which will be rather linked to your historical sales. So you try to attract or to re-attract your existing customers. But if you want to attract some new ones, some prospects and so on, well, content is the key. You have to define what is your potential customers' needs or pains, and drag their attention on how you can solve them. So basically, give them return on experience, give them also some ideas of the savings that they will be able to achieve. So it's not necessarily saying, well, we are the best water treatment company in the world. No, you have to prove it first. So that's the way it goes.
Okay. And what about being on social media? I mean, you're a B2B company. So why would a B2B company within the water industry want to have a presence on social channels?
Well, even though most of the segments we are targeting are mature, well, you have a new generation of customers or contacts which is coming. So meaning those people are definitely millennials. So for their research of new solutions or how to solve their issues, well, they are going first online. And so online presence is not only through a website or through recommendations or reference lists, but also on those social medias. I mean, there are, for example, on LinkedIn, you do have a lot of different groups which are specific to an industry. It can be pulp and paper, can be the chemical industry. And so if you want to be visible, well, you have to be part of those groups. You want to be one of the happy few companies who are seen as being experts in each domain.
Okay, very interesting. Do you have any like golden rules in terms of engaging with groups on LinkedIn?
Yes. Again, we don't want to make pure advertisement. We don't want to, let's say, annoy or potential prospects slash customers. We actually want to bring them to know the can I say the specifications of our equipments, but through let's say an explanation on how we did to solve similar issues for companies which are comparable to theirs.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, well, if you sell some filter cartridges, I mean, nothing is more, let's say, looking like another cartridges than a cartridges. Okay, so it means that it will look exactly the same from the outside. But when you are able to show that your cartridge will have to be replaced only once per year instead of once per 6 months, well, then you are bringing value also to your customers. So it's showing the value proposition, definitely. Not only the price of the product, because you will never be the lowest bidder, but overall, working on the total cost of ownership is actually key and the way forward to engage our customers. And social medias are definitely a good way, probably the best way actually to engage customers.
Okay. Creating compelling content requires a lot of time, which a lot of marketing managers just don't have. So, do you have any like tricks or tips in terms of repurposing content?
Well, there's a saying. There was a saying in my former company, which was, "If only we know what we know." So, meaning that there's a lot of knowledge within the company, a lot of reports, a lot of white papers which have been written, maybe sometimes years ago, but they haven't been leveraged on. So going through an assessment of all those, let's say, educational papers or return on experience, etc., is saving a hell of a time for a marketer to put content together. So I mean, it's not necessary to create content every time you want to communicate on social media. You can maybe, let's say, reframe it. You can make it a little bit prettier or up to date, but still something which happened 5 or even 10 years ago can be still very, let's say, accurate for the problems or the issues your potential customers would meet right now.
Okay, let's put some of this theory into practice, Jérôme. Could you zoom into some of your favorite content projects and the purpose, how you made that happen, what the content looked like?
Well, still on social medias, right?
Wherever you want.
Okay. Well, I would say that talking about our new products on mobile water treatment was actually kind of difficult because we were talking to a lot of different industries, a lot of different with a lot of different needs actually. So to put that into a short video with all the compelling arguments was kind of a challenge. So instead of trying to go and list with bullet points all the arguments we were talking about, well, we've made our people talking. So meaning an application engineer dealing on a daily basis with customers on different sites, etc., would be the best person actually to describe what are the most appealing arguments. And so that's what we did. So in 1.5 minutes or so, he has been able to explain properly how the system is working, what kind of issues it is solving, and to bring it, let's say, to a more appealing format. We used, as an example, the help of drone footages. So because our system is in a container, so not really appealing from the outside, but when you put that into the context of a water treatment plant and go up to the sky with the drone, well, it actually showed some kind of modernity and actually put the system into its environment. So it's very important because then your potential customers would be able also to identify themselves. So meaning, okay, so now I can see where I could put potentially this container on my site.
Okay, that's a very interesting example. So I'm going to ask you to put your sales hat on for a second. How do you attract those customers to your company? Because I understand that they're governments, right?
Well, government or industrial, I mean that's clear, and it goes through different approaches. Well, those days, obviously, there are a lot of challenges linked to COVID and so on.
Yeah.
So it's actually indeed challenging. In Europe, we do have also something which is difficult to handle called GDPR.
Yeah.
So having this content, let's say, out and distributed to potential customers and contacts is kind of difficult. So social media are one of the ways to address that. Can be sponsored content also, so sponsoring of newsletter for particular industries, i.e. Pulp and paper magazines and so on. I'm not a strong believer on let's say hard copies, but in terms of digital advertisements, well, we saw quite a traction also. So being on those very specific publications helped us to drag contact and audience. So, and obviously engagement, because when you do have someone clicking on your banner, then you do have a first opt-in that you need to confirm, obviously, under the GDPR, but it's a step forward. And we've seen that pretty obviously in the last month for Pall Water. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. My background is actually in government relations, so PR for governments. And the way that I used to reach out to governments was actually manually. I would set up an appointment with a minister, with a governor, or something like that. Do you do any manual outreach as well?
Well, absolutely, but we do have a sales force for that, and
Okay.
or I would say our goal or duty, sorry, for in terms of marketing is here to put together actually the list of contacts, contact details, and so on, and help the salespeople to prepare for those appointments with officials in particular.
But what about like events or trade fairs? Are you also engaging in those type of marketing strategies?
Yes, we are, but we are becoming also a lot more selective than in the past, because, well, for a salesperson, an event or a trade show would always been seen as a great opportunity to can I say foster existing contacts, not necessarily to generate leads. And that's what we saw also in the last 2 years and so on. So the level of engagement of new customers / prospects is low when you go to big trade shows like EFAT in Germany or Polytech in France. You have to be there somehow to show yourselves, but more and more companies are just stopping going there because they don't see the return on investment. We are now shifting also more and more resources that we put on, or we used to put on regional trade shows towards this digital content, which is easier to handle, which is also bringing far more leads than those physical events.
Okay. So, Jerome, you mentioned COVID-19. It's a word that we all hate. It's disrupted all industries. Could you talk to me about how it's disrupted your marketing plans?
Well, as I said, we are still taking part to some trade shows, but I would say that most of them have been canceled this year. So so all the leads that we were expecting, well, are not coming through this channel. We engaged also ourselves into webinars. We were not used to do so before. So that's something totally new for us, and also engaging a lot of resource to create content. So engaging also third parties to help us organizing this is another challenge, but actually content generation is here, let's say, far more resource consuming than just putting together a new brochure or something like this, you know.
Yeah.
So and you have also to engage some other people than the marketing team from your company. So that's also a challenge, because you have to have their buy-in and actually getting them ready to talk in front of an audience, which is not always something easy.
Okay, Jerome, could you talk to me a little bit about how you've had to adapt your language in order to empathize better with your audience during COVID times?
Well, I would say that the key to that is actually to be very specific in terms of audience that you are targeting first. When you are talking to a broad audience, well, you will be only vague and not necessarily straight to the point, and you will lose this audience. So when we were putting together webinars, we have been very specific also in terms of topic to be covered.
Mm-hmm.
So can be PFAS removal in wastewater, as an example, or let's say desalination plants, pre-treatment, etc. So very, very specific in order to have a very focused and targeted audience, easier to manage. And you can also foresee what would be their questions, etc. So we, just as a result, when you look at the webinar statistics, well, we didn't lose a lot of people throughout the webinars. You know, sometimes when you do have a too broad audience, you will lose up to 40% of your audience pretty quickly within 5 minutes, because they're just not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Here we were below 10%. So meaning that actually the topic was straight to the point. And you have in this case also to be not to do an infomercial, you know, just answering how to solve an issue, not putting yourself in pole position or putting your company, just stating that, okay, we are an option for you to solve this issue. It's raising awareness somehow, and that's really the key. Can I say the key challenge of those days is to keep awareness level very high, and also to improve your visibility. So you have to be very selective again on the verticals, on the market segments that you want to target.
Mm-hmm. For your industry, what's the ideal length of a webinar?
Oh, 20 minutes maximum. I would say even 15, but it has to be very dynamic. Not necessarily having just a kind of ping pong game with the with the speaker. You know, it's just going straight to the point. And the most important part is actually on the Q&A session. So it's engaging the audience to a very dynamic Q&A session. So it's really the key part. And this Q&A shouldn't last more than 10 minutes. So all in all, 25, 30 minutes max.
Okay. Well, we are at the end of this first section of our interview, but before we wrap up, Jerome, if you could do anything in this world, would it still be marketing for a water treatment company?
Yes, I would say that would be definitely it on an international level, because I just love discovering new cultures and new ways to do business. Otherwise, it would be something like a bar in Bora Bora, you know, but that's not marketing there.
I like the way you think. Okay, Jerome, moving into our rapid fire set of questions, basically your recommendations for our audience. To get this section started off, I'd like to ask you about your source of inspiration. So who do you admire? Perhaps a professional role model or an influencer?
Well, I have been lucky to have a mentor within my previous company who accompanied me for 7 years, and that was the VP of the water division. So he's definitely a source of inspiration because he was leading the team, let's say, with iron fist in a velvet hand glove, as we say in French. Um, um, Otherwise, there are a few people who are influencing on social medias like LinkedIn, and you do have one person called Walid Khouri, former executive within the Hack company. So a lot of influence from these persons because it's basically asking questions on a daily basis. So I recommend you to go on his page, on his LinkedIn page. Yeah, that would be my influence.
Okay. What about a resource that you'd like to recommend? So, for example, a book, a publication, an event, a community that you find to be particularly valuable?
There's a LinkedIn group which is very can I say very active. So it's the Water Network. So a lot of good things are happening there, even though there's also a lot of disturbance with people just coming to try to sell their products. So have to be cautious and selective on the post you are looking. On the other hand, there are a few can I say sites or websites which are very good for getting to know your markets for the water environment. I'm thinking about global water data or global water intelligence in particular. I mean, they are definitely good at giving trends and all in all, everything relating to economics. You will always find something relating to water there. There are always mergers and acquisitions going on, and so on. And you have to keep yourself also very well informed, up to date. Spend 5 minutes per day just looking at the news sections on Google or Yahoo or whatever. It's always inspiring also to better understand the world we're in.
I definitely agree. Okay. And what about your favorite app or tool at the moment?
Oh dear. Uh, that's a good question. Well, in terms of app, well, I'm still a fan of WhatsApp. To be frank, we are using it more and more on a professionals level. So putting groups together within our organization, which is a matrix one. So we can be very specific and create groups. And so you do have a kind of instantaneous interaction. So.
Okay, Jerome. And to wrap this interview up, I'd like to give you the opportunity to offer our audience a 30-second elevator pitch about Pall Water, the company that you work for.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, Pall Water is part of the Danaher Group, which is a multinational group, both in life science and also in filtration in general. So Pall Water specifically is offering water filtration technologies. So going from let's say the filtration of air, let's say, to viruses. So a very broad range of products which can be applied from the food and beverage industry towards the microelectronics where ultra pure water is needed. So we do have consumable products, but we have also engineered solutions like standard equipment and even a mobile fleet of water treatment equipment, which can be sent all across the globe to solve temporary issues like, let's say, remediation of pollution or even, let's say, replacement of existing treatment while they are just maintained. So that's basically what we are doing: filtration.
Very interesting. Okay, well, Jerome, thank you so much for joining us on the Content Mix. It was awesome to meet you and to learn about your experience in the water treatment industry.
Well, thank you, Carlota, and thank you all for listening and watching.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Content Mix. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out the Content Mix. We'll be releasing interviews just like this one every week, so keep on tuning in. Thanks again. Have a fabulous day and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.